Hey guys, it's Miss Delhome here, and it is Sunday. So, many of you probably already did the Survival of the Fittest and Natural Selection quiz. This is the second one for Friday. If you did not, though, then you can use this tutorial video, or if you need to retake it, you can use the tutorial video, or you don't need to use this video at all. It's kind of up to you. I'll go ahead and post it, though, for if you'd like to. So for number one, it says being the fittest means that you are the strongest. So remember, as far as survival of the fittest, most fit means best able to survive in the environment. Okay, so think about that for number one, and I'm kind of going to skip around. Let's see. So you should be able to answer these because we already talked about genetics a little bit before the coronavirus. Let's see, number 5. If there are more offspring that are born that will survive. So think about again, fittest versus strong. Okay, don't let it throw you off. Okay. Most likely to survive in its environment. I'm going to leave you there with that. Let's see. You should know what an adaptation is. We went over that lesson. Okay, question 7. Organisms tend to have. So this is asking about the number of offspring. It's a rough world out there. And not everybody does survive. So think about what would be best for the survival of the species as a whole. And now this depends. Predator animals usually have less offspring than, say, rabbits and other prey animals. But still, think about what would be best for the whole species. Would it be better to only have one or two, and then what if those two both die, or would it be better to have more? Not all of them survive, but at least a few of them survive. So think about what's best for the whole species for number 7. Number 8, it says what influences whether a physical trait is successful or not. So let me show you, excuse me, a few things. Here's some pictures of different hummingbirds. Okay, they have a really long, thin beak. Okay, really tiny feet. A hummingbird actually can't even perch. It can't land on a branch or anything because it can flap its wings super fast and flutter in place. It can even flutter backwards, side to side, up and down. Okay, so the hummingbird obviously lives in environments where it's able to go get the nectar out of flowers. While these are called wading, and wading means walking in shallow water, these are all wading birds. Okay, now one thing wading birds have in common is they all have long toes so that they can stretch them out. I don't know if you can see the toes on any of these pictures. You can kind of see this one's toes. But so they can stretch them out in the water. Okay, they do all have different beak shapes, but they're all used to catch things in the water. This one is called a roseate spoonbill, has a spoon-shaped beak. It actually will stick its beak in the water and create a little whirlpool to catch different animals. Oh, there it is. You can see its beak there more, the little spoonbill. Yeah, so there's just some different bird types. This one's called a night heron. It has a short, strong beak to catch little crabs. So back to the original question, what is it that influences? Think about what changed, whether it's drinking nectar from flowers or catching something out of the water. Hint, hint. Okay, so for number 9, it's a group question. So you might get this question, common ancestors of the polar bear. So there's going to be some white and some brown polar bears. So think about why over time there might be only white polar bears in the Arctic. Think about the Arctic region. Okay, but you might also get something about Strwalops, which is a made-up creature. And again, it's talking about colors, so think about camouflage, you know, how it'll best be able to camouflage. And then remember that members of the same species can breed with each other. And like I said, question 9, it's 3 different questions. So you might get this one, you might get the one about Strwalops, or it might ask you how climate change affects polar bears. So polar bears are supposed to be able to hunt on these ice caps. Okay, so they're supposed to be able to leave land and walk out onto the ice caps to be able to hunt for seals. What ends up happening though when there's no ice, they starve to death. Because the polar ice caps, they're melting due to climate change, due to global warming, and it's a pretty serious catastrophe for sure. Let's see, there's another one that was real thin, or you know they're being forced to either stay on land, to drift, and to swim. Which, if they have to swim long distances, then they don't have enough energy to catch their prey. Here's a news story. This polar bear had to swim in open water in the Arctic. She didn't stop for food or rest until 9 days later. And I know it was cut off, but that's when she finally encountered some of that floating ice. So she ended, to swim for 9 days straight, that's ridiculous. Because right, when they wade out into that open water looking for food, if there's no ice cap, they can't ever take a break. There's no ice, for them to get on. So that's definitely having a huge effect for the polar bears. And that's global warming. That's climate change. Okay, I'll go over a few more. For number 10, what occurs when no organisms of a species are fit enough for an environment? So think about what will happen over time. Over time is your keyword. What will happen to the species over time? Okay, number 11 talked about artificial selection. So natural selection, I'll go ahead and give this one to you because we hadn't talked about it. Natural selection is when the environment, that's that survival of the fittest. And then artificial selection is when humans select for the trait. So here, let me see if I can find real quick. There's a funny wolf dog meme, but I forgot to look for it. So yeah, this is funny. Or I think it is at least. So he starts out, let's see, you can't really see it. Where is it? So here's the wolf. People are at the campfire. They're hungry. He goes and asks for food. 10,000 years later, there's a little pug in a birthday hat. So obviously this is slow change over time. People would choose maybe smaller wolves, okay, and then it may be wolves with wrinkly skin, the smaller wolves with wrinkly skin. You keep choosing single traits at a time and choosing those specific wolves to breed until, you get specific dog breeds. Okay. Yeah, sorry guys, this meme wasn't exactly the one I wanted. That's not entirely appropriate, but I had seen this meme before. Somebody added in that chat bubble. Didn't know that chat bubble was going to be there. Sorry about that. Anyway. Number 12 is kind of talking about the same thing, I guess. The wording is kind of weird. How would artificial selection influence wolf ancestors? The only thing I can think is, yeah, talk about, step one, maybe choosing wolves with curly hair to mate, and then you have curly haired wolves. Then step two would be smaller and curly haired wolves. So, I mean, just step by step until, you get to something that looks like a poodle. And yeah, this would be over many, many years. Okay, and then question 16. Mutations can have positive effects. Okay, so if you were in class last week or if you read the keywords, remember a mutation is like a genetic glitch, and it can be a favorable, excuse me. So it can be positive. Think about if the mutation helps it to survive, if it helps it camouflage, if it's something that helps it capture prey or hide, which camouflage would be hiding. So mutations can definitely be beneficial. Okay, we're at 11. We're a little bit over 11 minutes, so I think I will leave you guys there, because this talks about stuff we've already talked about, so I think you should be good.